so far this year, they've been pretty good on the court, but there's one thing about them that just keeps bugging me and has got me just a little bit worried.
Yeah, the starters never get a damn break. You got Mikal Bridges lead the league in minutes. Josh Hart is second. OG is eighth. Come on, Tibbs, I know you never play your bench, but give these dudes a little bit of a break.
Before we start talking about the Knicks, if you haven't already, make sure to leave this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. So yeah, I gotta clear up, like, we're not that worried about the Knicks' play on the court. Like, yes, their defense isn't great, could be better, but they have the best starting lineup in the entire NBA. And if you look at the lineup, like, it's probably the perfect lineup for the modern NBA. Like, you got your perimeter scorer in Brunson, you got your 3-and-D wings in Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, you got your do-everything glue guy in Josh Hart, and you got your versatile big in Cat. Like, really only seems like it's lacking like a true defensive anchor in the middle, but they took some big swings this offseason, going out, getting Bridges, getting Cat, and for the most part, I think it's played out pretty well. And at the time of the recording, they're not quite locked into the 3rd seed, but it seems like that's where they're gonna fall. They're 3 games behind Boston, 3 games ahead of Orlando, barring a crazy turnaround in form from Orlando or Indiana or the Knicks, you know, just jumping off a cliff. They should come right in around the 3rd seed. So it's not really the play on the court that we're super worried about. It's the fact that they are playing their starters a lot.
I mean, we just made that recent video on the Pistons talking about how they saved their rebuild. The Pistons just went into Madison Square Garden and got that huge win. And for the Knicks, not only do you take the loss, but like you check the box score. OG 39 minutes, Josh Hart 38, Bridges 37, Brunson 39 minutes. Cat, who injures his thumb in the game, still gives you 43. And the highest minutes off the bench was Deuce McBride. He gave you 17 minutes. Like, the bench sucks ass. It's terrible.
Yeah.
To an extent, I get it, but it's a dangerous game Tibbs is playing here.
Yeah, there's no reason Karl Anthony Towns should be playing 43 minutes on a random Monday night against Detroit. It's just baffling. And like, I get it. It's what Tibbs is known for. It's kind of what he's notorious for, like in Chicago, whether it was Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler, or especially Luol Deng. I mean, he played Luol Deng as much as he physically could, basically. And it produced great regular season results. And then in the playoffs, inevitably, something always went wrong, whether it was Derrick Rose getting injured, Jimmy Butler just being completely out of gas. Luol Deng, I think, was injured here and there for the Bulls. His one good year in Minnesota, again, he kind of did what he's doing this year, although not quite as bad. You know, Wiggins, Towns, and Taj Gibson all played 82 games, and everyone in the starting lineup played more than 33 minutes, and your 6-man Jamal Crawford's only getting about 21 minutes a game. And what happens at the end of the season? Jimmy Butler gets hurt. The Wolves drop from the 3 seed to the 8 seed in about a month and a half. And last year, I know Tibbs was catching a lot of arrows for like, oh, it's the same thing. He's running his players into the ground again. Kind of wasn't the case, actually.
Well, I mean, last year they actually had a little bit of depth. Isaiah Hartenstein, who is a guy who can be a starter. He came off the bench at times when Mitchell Robinson was healthy. You had Quickly before he got traded. Guys like Quentin Grimes, like they actually legit had bench players last year. But after they made their huge swings, getting Cat, getting Mikal Bridges, like you looked at the roster going into this season, terrific starting 5, maybe the best starting 5 in basketball, just like a perfect setup for your modern starting 5, as we talked about. But the bench is so damn bad that like not only is Tibbs always a guy who constantly plays his starters, with this bench, in some ways he kind of has to.
Yeah, I mean, he's gone back to his worst tendencies. And again, I kind of get why he's doing it. We'll address that a little bit later. But Bridges is leading the NBA in minutes at 38.8 a game, and he's played all 41 games. Josh Hart is second in the league in minutes, 37.5, and he's missed only 1 game. OG Anunoby, 8th in the NBA in minutes, and he's played all 41. And then you got Brunson and Cat both playing right around 35 minutes a game, and they've missed 1 game and 3 games respectively. Like, I can't be the only one who thinks this is a problem. Like, I get it, injuries and whatnot, they're unpredictable, they're random, they happen without warning. I get that, but I also think like there's a threshold where if you're playing your guys too much, you're exposing them to unnecessary opportunities where they could be injured. And I know some people will counter back like, oh, well, just don't ever play any minutes if you don't want to get hurt. It's like, no, that's like saying don't ever drive your car if you don't want to be in a car crash. It's like, well, I need to drive my car. I need to drive to work. I need to drive to the store. I need to drive to the gym. gym. But I don't think it's unfair to say, like, the more time I would spend in my car, the more opportunities I'm exposing myself to potentially be in a car crash. And I think it's the same thing on a basketball court. The more minutes you play, the more opportunities there are for even something unpredictable to happen. And I think Tibbs is being a little bit reckless with how much he's playing his starters this year.
I mean, the other thing is, if a starter goes down, let's say like 2 months, 3 months, or maybe not even getting him back into the playoffs, they're kind of cooked. I mean, I know Mitchell Robinson will be coming back, like he could fill a little bit of a void, but they play their starting five so damn much. By far the most minutes of any 5-man lineup in the entire league. At the time of this recording, they've logged 688 minutes. To give you some context there, only 2 other lineups have played over 400 minutes. That's the Timberwolves starting 5 and the Rockets starting 5. So if they lose a guy for, let's just say 2 months, like not a super long amount of time, I think it could be really dangerous for them. And then you look at other contenders around the league. OKC lost Chet.
And they've been fine.
Barely have even talked about it, besides just talking about the fact that once they get him back, it's even more dangerous. Porzingis has not played a ton for the Celtics, and they haven't been as good as last year, but they still seem very dangerous. I mean, he basically missed the whole damn finals last year, only played a couple games. This Knicks team, you cannot say that at all.
Yeah, I mean, if Brunson goes down, if Cat goes down, if Bridges goes down, like, it doesn't look good for them because they don't have anyone to fill that void. And the thing is, like, we don't really know what that lineup would look like because we haven't seen it this year because their starting lineup plays so much together. Like, their second most played lineup, I think, has played like less than 90 minutes together.
Jeez.
The entire season. It's not big enough of a sample size to know if it actually can be effective. So this has basically just been a long-winded rant to say that the Knicks are playing their starters too much, but we probably should address the other side of the argument. And this would probably come from Knicks fans and even Tom Thibodeau himself, where they're saying, you know, hey, we're trying to win every game that we can. And as we've said a bunch of times in this video, their bench is not good. So the best strategy would be to play our starting lineup as much as possible. And again, some people would say, you know, injuries are random. And, you know, how much are we really saving a guy by playing him like, you know, 4 to 5 less minutes per game, right? Well, that first point, like, you can lose some battles so long as you win the war. Like I mentioned earlier, the Knicks are probably set at the 3rd seed. Like, I know they got a tough schedule left. Indiana has been playing really well, even though they just lost to Cleveland. Orlando, I don't think is much of a threat because they've got their own injury issues to deal with. Maybe Milwaukee goes on a nice run of form, gives them a run for their money, but they're probably set at the 3rd seed. And as the season goes on, they're going to get more and more secure because the teams behind them are going to run out of games to catch them, right? And as your playoff position gets more and more secure, you got to start thinking ahead to the playoffs. Like, I'm not going to advocate for load management or anything, but you got to manage your guys so they're healthy come the playoffs. And I think, honestly, a way you can do that is by playing them less in game. Like, people be like, oh, what difference is going to make if you play Mikal Bridges 5 less minutes per game? Like, if he plays 5 less minutes per game, first of all, he's still playing 33 minutes a night, which is plenty, but over 6 games, that's 30 extra minutes of rest he's getting. That's a full game right there.
And we get it. Like we've said, the bench sucks ass. Like, campaign, your classic just 77 overall you signed in 2K to fill out the roster. Landry Shamet rocking the number 44. Looks disgusting. Dude's done all there. Precious Achua, he can give you some serviceable minutes, but he's not going to do much. Deuce McBride, probably their best player off the bench, which is crazy. Like, the bench is awful. Unfortunately, though, I don't know if reinforcements are coming. Mitchell Robinson's the big one and could help this team a lot. Obviously, good interior player, can defend the interior, can get rebounds. I'd like to see some Cat Mitchell Robinson minutes. Cat obviously has experience playing the 4. I think that could be good. But besides that, like, you'd have to make a move. They've been linked to Jonas Valanciunas, another good move that could shore up your front court depth. They need like some wings or some scores there. I mean, they do have assets. They have the Pistons pick this year. It's top 13 protected. That's probably going to convey, which is crazy. Wizards top 10 protected pick, and then they have their picks in 2026 and 2030. Might have to be pick swaps. Like, they could make a move here, and to be honest, they want to be legit contenders. They'd have to, because no one's winning a title with the bench this bad.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard them in rumors for Valanciunas, but that's basically it. Like, I looked for a while online trying to find anything. I was like, oh, maybe they could be in for like Lonnie Walker if he decides to come back from overseas, but they weren't mentioned at all. Even for him, I was like, maybe they'll be trying to do some work in the buyout market, but I don't know. It kind of just feels like they're resting on their laurels right now. And again, I get it. The bench is bad. It's dead last in the NBA in minutes per game. It's dead last in the NBA in scoring per game by like 4 points too. But even if it's not producing at a high level, you got gotta play them some just to give your starters a break from time to time. And me personally, like, I think the Knicks have been incredibly lucky that none of their stars have suffered any kind of injury which would keep them out for any significant amount of time. But they are tempting fate with how much they're playing their starters. And if they keep playing them as much as they do, I think that luck might run out. I think that luck might run out sooner rather than later. That's the video, guys. What do you think of the Knicks? You think they're playing their starters too much? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving it a like, as it really does help us out. And while you're here, why not check out some of our other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.